morning, friends. So I have a tip, and then I need some advice. So while I was going through some stuff yesterday, I found a bunch of seam binding that I hadn't processed yet. So when I find vintage seam binding, not the kind that has, like, sometimes the 3 strips of, I think it's maybe glue or something to iron on. That's vintage, but it's not super vintage. This is just plain seam binding. You can see through it, and so I take it to the sink and wash it with a little hand soap just to get any dust, and I don't know what else could be in there, and then I squeeze it out and let it dry. Usually I hang it to dry, but last night I had so many pieces and so many little pieces that I decided I'm just going to leave them in this basket to dry, and it worked perfectly because they're just little pieces. This one's my favorite. It's a charcoal gray. It probably looks black. No, I'm not on frame. Some crunch better than others. Like, look at that. That's a good one. Anyway. So if you don't have a lot of room to hang up stuff, you can just leave it in a basket on the kitchen counter. That was that for a tip. Okay, now I have, what the heck am I going to do with this? Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So quite a few months ago, I bought this man's stamp collection, and he's got them not adhered into pages, but sort of stuck in to these sheets, right? This one is all commemorative American postage. Like, look how many, these are Christmas. Like, look how many I have. And the same ones. Like, how many? There's got to be 100 of these ones. And that's not all. So those are the ones here from the 60s. He's got them all labeled, dated. That's just one of the books. Then he has this one. Again, these are I think these are the newer ones. This one is Idaho. Like that. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then the third book is the oldest ones. I think I have it upside down. Nope, I don't. Excuse me. So these ones are from 1890s. I will never in a million years be able to use all of these, so clearly I need to figure out how to sell them off. I'm not interested in their value as stamps for collectors. Goodness, I got a tickle. Better have a slurp of coffee. Look at all these purple ones. So I'm just wondering if anybody has any ideas about how. Who's this guy? Oh, it's Abraham Lincoln. How I can sell these. I mean, how many is there here? And they're all these, whoops, fake George Washington. So if you have any thoughts or, you know, if I were you, Nancy, I would XYZ. That would be super good. Please leave a comment below. Alright, I'm going to shut this off for a minute and clear off the desk so we can do a little crafting. Okay, let's get back to work here. So I am now working on another journal. It's called The Joy of Words. The spine I've got, this is Tim Holtz fabric that I've put on here. So I'm just starting to do some of the interior decorations. So I've done a little pocket here and a book plate. But I wanted to put in some tabs and I wanted to put in some lace and that kind of thing. So I thought, well, I'll turn on the camera and we'll just spend some time working on that. Okay, I'm just looking at the clock so I don't keep you too long. So there's 6. I put all these clips here because I'm figuring out the spacing for my tabs. So I'm going to move this here and add some lace. So it's a long weekend here. Canada Day is tomorrow, July the 1st. There's already somebody out there letting off fireworks tonight, which was disruptive. Because it wasn't the purpose of, you know, seeing the fireworks. It was the purpose of making noise. I don't understand that. So this trim I made by sewing together a couple layers of, and I'm cutting it off a little long so I can trim it later once it's dry. A couple layers of, what do you call that? Net curtain. Just want to make sure I'm here in frame. So I took this piece of net curtain and I dyed it with coffee and then cut strips. One's slightly narrower. The top one is narrower than the bottom one. And then stitch them together. So the theme of this book is another one about writing and reading. A little less postal, this one, than my earlier one. Although I imagine some stamps will come in here. They're just a nice decoration. So I'm doing things a little backwards. Usually I would embellish the pages before I sewed in the signatures, but this time I knew I wasn't going to go too crazy with the embellishments because it is meant for mostly journaling and writing, this one. Maybe writing about reading. like I said, I'm not in this video, but in an earlier video, I'm on vacation this week and next week. This week is going to be a staycation, and I've got a couple of goals in mind. So one of the things that I want to do is finish unfinished projects. Hence, this one. I think this has been on my desk for about a month. So I have several partially done journals that need to be done. So that is goal number 1. I've also been working on tidying up a room upstairs, and that's nearly done. I've just got a little more sorting to do. And I plan to use that room more for not crafting, but you know, my mailing room for my Etsy store and that kind of thing. So I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. I had a big yard sale last week and practically gave stuff away, but that's okay. It had to go. I actually made $280, so that was good. Doug and Jordan, my youngest, they helped me a lot, so I took them out for dinner to celebrate. So today, Doug made a table for me using the iron base of a Singer sewing machine, and he screwed the top of an old maple kitchen table to it. So he swore about that a little bit, but it's done. For which I am grateful. It looks really nice. I'll have to do a video of a tour once I've got everything organized up there. So I think now that I have a room sort of dedicated to photography of my projects and sort of a mailing room, I'll be a little more organized and maybe get a lot more done too, because I don't have to clear off my desk down here, put away everything. Okay, so I'm gonna let those dry. So what I have in mind for tabs, this is inspired by Tina on Shabbydabbydoodah. She made these faux postage stamps, and she in turn was inspired by Ann Lee's. I checked out her channel, who she in turn was inspired by somebody on a Facebook group named Linda. So, you know, what goes around comes around. So what I've done is I have these little small pictures of writers, and I'm going to use those as the postage stamps. And I've started making some. So what I've done is I've doubled up vintage book paper, and now I'm going to do some cutting. So the weird thing about this is the scissors are actually backwards. So in order to get your flat side and your perforations going the right way, you have to cut away from your picture. So I'm actually marking pencil lines so I'll know where to cut. I don't know why they did it like that, but it's very important to me that they're going the right way. We've had beautiful weather. We've been outside a lot today. We had lunch on the patio. We had coffee on the patio this morning and just had dinner. And believe it or not, Doug ate a salad. He'll put a spoonful on his plate and pretend he likes it, but I know he doesn't. But this one was one that I picked up at the grocery store. One of those, you know, whip it together and... But it had apples and dried cranberries and almonds in it. So he really liked it. It was a raspberry poppy seed vinaigrette dressing. So it was good. It was on sale too. So tomorrow is actually, this didn't cut. Tomorrow's actually Canada Day. No big plans for us. There's a town-wide yard sale. Although I'm trying to stay out of yard sales and thrift stores. This is difficult because I have to cut backwards. Very unnatural. Not sure where I got these pictures. It was some sort of a book. And I made them the right color by using gathered twigs. There, this one did it too. There we go. I actually took 3 boxes of stuff to the thrift store today. So, things are moving. So much thinking. See, I didn't leave enough space on this side. I don't know if there's anything I can do about it now, but just do my best. Yeah, I made the same mistake on these ones too. Oh, shoot. It was still wet. That's okay. That happens, doesn't it? I don't think I'll try to draw around it right now. I'd like to go see that movie that just came out yesterday about this guy who, well, I don't know what it's really about, but the idea is he wakes up one day and nobody's ever heard of the Beatles, so he starts performing all these Beatles songs and everybody thinks he's the greatest songwriter ever. I think it sounds like fun. I am kind of a Beatles fan. If I had to choose, that's kind of one of the questions you ask people, right? Beatles or Stones? Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson? My answers would be Beatles, Stevie Wonder. My son was performing on Friday, and I was invited to go watch. I'm never invited because he doesn't want me there. Being a mom. And he was just filling in. It wasn't a regular band for him. They just needed a bass player to fill in. And it's a cover band. They did 2 Beatle covers, and then, or they did 1 Beatle cover, and then the lead singer guy says, well, you can't do one Beatles song without another Beatles song. And then in the next set they did a Rolling Stones, and well, you can't do one without doing a second. It was quite entertaining, actually. The lead singer is a colleague of mine, his partner. He's quite the showman, actually. I appreciated it. I'll have to send a message and let him know what I thought. What I really thought was great was that he, well, let me back up by saying live music to me, you're getting paid to play live music. Please don't have a tablet in front of you so you can read the words. Clearly, you don't know the song. But he did not have a tablet. He knew all the words. So that was good. How annoying. I just place things too close together, that's all. Oops, I just about did it again. There we go. Let's gather twig. There, this one's vintage photo. There's Jonathan Swift. I read a book not by Jonathan Swift, but about Jonathan Swift. I can't remember what it's called. It was really good. There's old Bill Shakespeare here. So on the back of this one, I put a picture of Agatha Christie, and I'm going to put the page in between. So there's a picture front and back. Oh crap. No, it's alright. What have we got here? Oh, H.G. Wells. Care H.G. These feel a little plain. It is better once I've got the stamping on there, but here's your Robert Louis. Get you colored up. Come on, you. Gotta make sure I don't put these upside down. 1, 2. Okay, I need another small one. I have no idea who this is. Rupert Brooke. Well, he's probably British with a name like Rupert. Oh, sorry. Jeez, Nancy, slow down. But I can't say I have ever heard of him. Clearly, a gap in my education. Oh shoot. Making all kinds of mistakes now. Okay, that one. Oh, there's Robbie Burns. Robbie, you're too big. Percy, you're too big. Robbie, go over there for a bit. Nope. I know who you are. Oh, I didn't ink the back of this one either. Samuel Pepys. I read when I was doing my undergrad. I think it was think it was philosophy. It wasn't history. I think it was philosophy. So I didn't take any history. Oh, I took the history of medicine. The university that I went to, every degree required that you had at least one science credit, so you had to have a breadth. So all of the classes were A, B, and C. So some were social science, one was science, and another one was, I don't know, can't remember. But I had the B's and the C's, but I didn't have an A. I didn't have the science. So they actually offered 2 science courses for non-scientists. And one was the history of medicine, and the other one was astronomy. So I took the history of medicine, and it was an awesome class. The university that I went to has a medical school, and the professor was a physician. I think he was about 106, and he looked like a homeless Santa Claus. And it was a really, really good course, and he said nobody's going to get more than 66 in my course. I don't give any grades higher than that. Wow. That was just a challenge he was issuing me. So I studied my butt off, and I did really well. I can't remember what I got, but I certainly got more than 66. Because I needed to have an 80 to get into professional program, into the social work program. I had to have an 80 minimum, an 80. So he took us He took us over to the main campus of the university to look at some old medical books that were in the collection there. Some of the books were 600, 700, 800 years old. And it was amazing. So when we initially went into the room, and there was a librarian there, and he's like, okay, nope, you weren't allowed pencils or pens in the room. Everything had to stay outside of the room. You weren't allowed to touch the books. And as soon as the librarian was gone, I wanted to use Robbie Burns, but he's a little too square, so I'm gonna have to use John Keats. As soon as he was out of the room, the prof just, yep, he let us handle all the books. There was one book, I think it's really great when I see books that have notes in the margin. I always think that that's really interesting. And the one book, sorry, I just want to get that piece of paper off there. The one book had 2 columns, and one column was Latin, one column was Greek, and then there was notes in the margins. And it was just really, really interesting. And I took my son, he would have been, I think he would have been about 15 at the time, and he still talks about that experience. You know, being able to handle artifacts, really. Not things that he would never see outside of a museum. It's just really a great experience. I'm sure he's got to be dead now, because he was old. And then when I was writing my exam for that class, I had a conflict. I had 3 exams booked for the same day. So I asked him if I could, well, I think there was a policy that you couldn't write more than 2 a day. So I asked him if I could reschedule the exam. Yep, no problem. So the university organized another day, and it was going to be like 27th of May or something, like a month later. And when he found out, he said, "Oh, for crying out loud, just come to my office and you can write the exam in my office." So I had to go to main campus. I was at a college. Western University has several colleges. I was at King's. And then there's main campus in Brescia and Huron. I don't know, there's 5 or 6 colleges there, I think. But the medical school's on the main campus. So I went over to main campus and he let me into his office and he said, "Just shut the door when you're done." So I wasn't supervised. I suppose I could have cheated, but I think he knew that I worked really, really hard and I knew my stuff. So it wasn't necessary to supervise me. Okay. Now, where's my stampy stamp? This is VersaFine. It takes a while to dry, clearly. Sorry I'm so quiet. I'm just not a really great stamper, so I have to think about it. Okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna have to let those dry. Oh, I have a 7th one. Who am I gonna put on there? John Runyon. Runyon. Don't know who you are either. Rabbi, are you too big? Yeah, you're still too big. Oh dear. Oh shoot, do you see what I just did? Oh my gosh. I have to throw that out and get a new one. I'm not the only one that this happens to. I don't know why I'm yawning. I had a nap this afternoon. Glue. All right. So, what did I do with that? There, better leave that there, or I'll lose it and I'll be in bad shape. Okay. How are we doing for time? So, I think you've probably had enough of me for one day. I'll get this uploaded and carry on to the next project. So thanks so much for watching. Oh, I forgot to mention, one of my other goals while I'm on vacation, maybe I should have made a more interesting video before I said this, is to have 2,000 subscribers. I'm just over 1,800 right now. So if you like this video, please subscribe. Or if you're already a subscriber, share this channel with your friends and tell them I'm not so bad. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.